Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are you this morning? Hope you're doing all right. Life has brought you some goodness this weekend and this week, and that you are finding your way into goodness and wholeness, maybe a little bit of warming up. We can hope for that, huh? All right. Hey, John, good morning to you. Glad you're here. Things are grand in your world. Just moving some things around here. Good morning, friends. Hey, Karen, good morning. How are you? Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. Mug up this morning. Doing great. That's awesome. Got to see Stephanie this weekend for a moment, so that was a joy. Always does my heart good. Hello, everybody. Give it a minute or two. So today, by the way, is just by way of commercial, is the beginning of our 100-day Bible reading challenge. So if you want to get in, there is still time. There's still plenty of time. Just shoot us a message, and we will get you the Zoom link for what's coming up and the reading schedule for all that's coming up. So. The email went out at 3 o'clock yesterday, so if you should check your email if you've signed up, and there will be a Zoom link in there, and you can join in on that if you'd like to be a part of it. You just got to give a call and or a message, and we'll get you on the distribution list for that. Hey, good morning, Vicki. How are you? Good to see you. You should. I know you're on the distro, so you should have a email in your inbox. Good morning, friends. All right, let's get going this morning. It is the 10th day of February at this 11:11, and I'm glad you're a part of the journey. You know there is much there is much to do these days about the Olympics. The Winter Olympics are on, and we want to kind of see people in the heat of competition. You know, we love it. We crave it. This notion of watching people in excellence, and I think there's something beautiful about that, of seeing folks in excellence. Hey, good morning, Donna. Hope you're doing great. Sharon, good morning to you. Hey, everybody coming along. So good to see everyone. This and so with the advent of the Olympics and the Olympic Games that are going on right now, I wanted to start us with a story about the Olympics. So in this goes all the way back to the 1992 Olympics. 1992, but they were in progress. There's a story about the guy by the name of Henry Pierce from Australia, and he was competing in the 1928 Olympics. So, and he was leading in the scull. So he was rowing. I know it's the Winter Olympics, but this is my story today. So there you go. So he was in the scull, single person scull. He's rowing his little heart out. He's competing for Australia, and when a duck and her string of ducklings come into view ahead, and these little ducklings are paddling their little hearts out in front of him, and they were on a collision course. Pierce in his scull going as fast as he could, and with these little family of ducklings that he would cut the little string of as they string out behind them, he would cut right to the middle of them and probably sink a couple ducklings in the process. And so he pulled his oars. He'd been, for all the training, for all the work that he'd done, not to run over some ducks, When the ducks passed, Pierce again bent his back to the task. He dug back in. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about the story. Pierce won. Pierce, even in stopping for the ducklings, Pierce won the gold. Usually, acts of sportsmanship kind of result in defeat, right? Like that's what we imagine is the runner who stops to help the other runner, or the ducks that, but not in Pierce's case. And there's another case that the old invitation of that we imagine that winners or that nice guys finish last, right? But in this case, it wasn't the case. Uh, a few years later, and happened in a couple of years ago in the marathon of a tandem kayak racing event in the World Championships in Copenhagen. So these two Dutch paddlers, they're out there paddling away. So they've got their little paddles, they're paddling away. They're leading when the rudder was damaged on and the British paddlers that were going along, so they couldn't, the Danes couldn't steer, and so the British paddlers who were in second place, they stopped to help the Danes, and the Danes fix up their because their little racing kayak, and the Danes went on to defeat the British by 1 second in the event. In an event, oh, by the way, that lasted nearly 3 hours. But the happy ending to that story is also that, according to the Wall Street Journal, the British kayakers won what many people regard as the highest honor in sports. They became the winner of what was called the Pierre de Coubertin International Fair Play Trophy. That this is a trophy that's named for the founder of the modern Olympic Games, and it had been awarded annually for the past 28 years to people in sports who have demonstrated nobility of spirit. It is a big deal in Europe that when this happens, and it had not been given much recognition in the United States, so we don't hear about it as much. But for the Europeans, this is a big deal. That the past trophy had actually gone to a Hungarian tennis player who had pleaded with the officials to give his opponent more time to recover from cramps. Consider that. And to a high school basketball coach who forfeited the state championship after he found out that one of his players was scholastically ineligible. That this award went to those kayakers. And so this notion, and again, this notion that we might, in the midst of our lives, in the midst of our rowing, in the midst of our running, in the midst of our pursuits, we might not think of the ducklings. We might think of kindness. We might think of fair play. We might think of compassion in our faithfulness. You see, God calls us to faithfulness, right? God calls us to believe in Him, to do that, to believe in Christ, to have faith that God has us and God has our lives. God holds us in the palm of our hand, and yet what that means is us embodying a life that we can trust God to be kind. Because if we can't trust God, all we can do is note cruelty. Those who think of themselves as God, we have a name for them. They're called psychopaths. They are the ones who try to accumulate all power and all authority in their little wheelhouse, so who manipulate the most to get their thing, and thusly who are the most cruel and the most painful. You see, our little lives, rowing our little boats, running our little race, doing our little luge of down the mountain that is our lives, competing in our little event. The prize that we ought seek to win is not simply the laurels of success in terms of the worldly fame, or the gold of the accomplishment of our tasks, but the question of how have we run the race that we have been given? How have we run over the ducklings, or have we been willing to pull our oars and to when the very thing we wanted was just on the other side of maybe an act of pain or an act of cruelty or an act of hurt. Now, we've all, to one degree or another, succumb to those temptations. We're not perfect people, and nor should we consider ourselves to be. But it is those small moments, those moments where we might that God prizes in us. That not when we win the accomplishment of the goal, but when we might find ourselves being willing to be awarded the Pierre de Coubertin International Fair Play Trophy. Because friends, the game that we play, the world that we live in, the life that we have is bound not by laurels and not by accomplishments, but is bound by the love of God in Christ Jesus that dwells in us. And as we let that pour out into the world, as we let that inform our life in the way in which we pull on our oars, in which we run our race, in which we call ourselves, in which we stop not to overtake our competitor, but to help them fix the rudder and their own directions as we seek to pull and fix our own. I mentioned this before, but when I was on pilgrimage in Spain, the organization we went with is Warriors on the Way, and Warriors on the Way, they're supported by a number of different people, but one of the people that support them and who really believes in the community of Santiago as a pilgrimage and its ability to transform people is the actor Martin Sheen. And so the actor Martin Sheen sent us, our little cohort of 9 people, sent us a letter of encouragement, a handwritten letter. It's very beautiful. I have a copy of it, and I'll actually pull it out every once in a while and read it, because he encourages us in pilgrimage. That's one of the things that he does. But he ends the letter with this, and I'll paraphrase it for you, but it is everything that we've been talking about today. And he says this, he says that perhaps the most powerful thing you will do, perhaps the most important thing that you will do on the Camino and on your pilgrimage is that when you are struggling, that when you find yourself in the difficulties of your days, when your feet hurt, when your back hurts, when you are struggling physically and emotionally, and all the ways in which that long hours under a weight will do to a person, and when the elements will get in, and the wet and the cold and the heat and all the things that will attack us will eventually do, and that when we are struggling, that in the midst of our struggle, in the midst of our race, in the midst of our pilgrimage, we might extend a kindness, we might extend a help to a fellow pilgrim that may be struggling more than us, but that we just can't see. I think about this a lot. I think about his words a lot. And I think it's all about, I think it comes back to maybe the best of our Olympic intentions as we watch the Winter Olympics unfold, and as we watch our lives unfold, and as we see those races and those games as this tiny metaphor for our own race and our own game. That will we win? Will we get the gold? I don't know. But what I know is that how we will care for the pilgrims around us, how we will treat even our competitors even the boat next to us with the broken rudder, even the ducks that would get in our way, the way that we would ship our oars and sacrifice and seek to possibly sacrifice our victory, even though we might find ourselves in the midst of in the midst of a race that we struggle to win, that it becomes much more critical, and that what the true laurels of victory look like are our caring and our love and our grace for those who are around us on any given morning and day. So as you watch your Olympics these days, as you watch the sledding and the skiing and all the things, remember that our fellow athletes, our fellow competitors in our world, our fellow pilgrims, our fellow spectators, all may need our kindness as fellow pilgrims along the way, even when we are struggling, so that we may know the grace of God in Christ Jesus in our midst, offering us the prize of heaven. Peace and grace to you all, my friends, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.